Hey guys, Mike here. So rain is here. Hurricane should be hitting later on tonight, so I'll be recording inside now. But we're gonna go into some charts and everything. Again, S&P hit all-time highs, and we'll talk a little bit about why that is. But one important thing is I keep hearing and getting questions about this all the time is what's going on with TLT and bonds and things of that nature, and why is the 10-year rising? And it's like I was telling members this morning, what's happening is this economic data, whether you believe it or not, whether it's cooked or not, who knows, or accurate, doesn't matter, is coming in higher than expected, right? When they did that 50 basis point cut, it was like, okay, cool. They're trying to avoid a recession because remember, unemployment was coming in bad, data was coming in not so good, and all of a sudden they do the 50 basis point cut, and then employment and real estate and anything you can imagine, manufacturers start turning back up, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. So the 10-year starts moving up, and of course, what does that do? It affects a lot of stuff. Mortgage rates have been going back up. So what's happening? Mortgage rate applications are dropping. So that affects a lot of things, but that's why. And that's why, when you're seeing people talk about like TLT or bonds and things like that, why they've been going down, that's one of the major reasons. So that's why this data tomorrow we're getting on CPI is going to be such a big deal tomorrow. Okay, and when you look at TLT, for example, you can see that trend line is coming into trend line plus support. And so if we get data tomorrow, which comes in as is, or even better than under, you can see TLT bounce and yields pull back. But if we get a hot CPI like 2.4, 2.5, something like that, then you're going to see TLT most likely tank some more. And then the 10-year go up some more. And you can see this is an inverse relationship as we pull this up right here. And you can clearly see what I'm talking about. As the yields go up, TLT comes down. And as the yields come down, TLT usually goes up. And a lot of times the data is going to be the one to dictate this. There's a lot of things that affect yields, but that seems to be what's happening lately for sure. And you can see it right here. Remember, we were talking about another 50 basis point cut in November. Now look at this. 80% chance for 25 basis point cut, but all of a sudden, 20% cut, they don't do anything. Okay, scroll down here. A week ago, it was a 35% chance they were going to do a 50 basis point cut. And all of a sudden, it's been completely basically taken off the table because of what? The data we've been getting in, okay? What the Fed presidents have been talking about now. And so, again, if TLT breaks this trend line, you're going down 93. If it breaks that support level, then you're going down, it looks like around, what is that? 90 or 85, excuse me, 85, 88, okay? So we'll move it up right there. But a lot of this will depend on the data, okay? So watch the 10-year yield. Speaking of the bond market and stuff, you see MOVE, which is the B of A like bond market option volatility estimate index. And I talked to you about putting this trend line here because I never tried to chart this thing or anything. But it's a chart, right? So far we're bouncing off that. It's been moving up the last 2 days, it seems. And so that's something to watch because volatility in the bond market is not really something people like to see. You've been seeing also HYG, which is the junk bond market, again, last 7 days really. Still selling down, but not a lot, just barely, right? And we talked about this. If it sells down, talked last week, then either SP is going to start coming down or start trading sideways. And what's it been? It's been in a box. Right, and so I'll put these trend lines in place to see if we break these. You'd have to drop a pretty decent amount to even break it. But if those break, then we know this thing's going down. S&P is coming right along with it, and so we'll keep that in place right there. But again, people are going to watch the junk bond market because that's the riskiest part of the bond market. If that's doing okay, as you've seen over the last 3 years, the market moves up, has pullbacks and all that good stuff, but it moves up. Okay, now you saw all-time new high sitting on the S&P. There was something to do with this. Again, I've been playing around with this site and everything. One of our members turned me on to and everything. And I mean, I'll admit it surprised me. They went ahead and put us to all-time highs before the CPI data. And so that was kind of surprising. I guess 578 or 580, whatever it was, and missed it by just a hair for the end of the day. But that's because there was these different levels with just the gamma exposure going through the roof, right? And so again, this is where you get the 6,000 number as far as I'm concerned. This trend line keeps going above. That goes way back. And so, if this thing obviously gets the fourth quarter rally, that's why people are probably, I would say 6,000. Once you hit that trend line, people are expecting a nice pullback once you hit it. But that's where people are getting that from. So let me know in the comments if you were surprised. We hit all-time highs on SPY before the CPI. I thought they would kind of wait it out and then CPI drive it up if the numbers came in where they need to be. Now, this comes down, obviously, that trend line plus the box where it's set there, right? 57.65 will be the first real support you're looking at. If that breaks, obviously, we just go right back in the box and we go back down to 57.30. That was that line we talked about for the last 3 or 4 days right there, which it turned support yesterday and got a jump Tuesday and today on. So, you know, looking over here at the Qs, this one right here, you're going to hear this talked about a lot. I already know it's going to be all over Twitter. Is that a double top? Is that a double top? Let me know in the comments what you think. You know, again, double tops rarely play out. When they do, it's pretty amazing because like Celsius was a double top. And that was one of the best double tops ever. It's like epic. No, again, CPI comes to where it needs to be and all that good stuff. It is what it is. Even if this did sell down, it's going to be that shaded area and that trend line is where you're looking as far as like, you know, some pretty decent support for it to bounce that and stuff. But again, looking at that's all-time highs right there. And shockingly, here we are in October, and it's 1.77% away from all-time highs, and the S&P is setting already a new all-time highs. And then you come over to the Dow, which I rarely talk about. Again, it's not your granddaddy's Dow, and it's setting look just like the Qs, right? And yes, that's supposedly could turn out to be a double top. But this one didn't set all-time highs, but to the left right there, I mean, it barely missed it. I mean, what was it, 0.10% or something from doing an all-time or setting an all-time new high? And so, you know, if any of these start to sell down, you can see where the levels are. It's the white line right there will be for the Dow if it does come back down. But what really drove the market today wasn't your Mag 7, which I'll show you, or Mag 8 actually. It was this right here. It was the equal weighted ETFs. Okay, they were up nicely all day long and kept increasing, and that's all-time highs for RSP. So it's very, very close to setting all-time highs. Okay, and this one actually set an all-time high before the S&P set its all-time high. Remember? And so that's what's been driving this one, QQEW, breaking out this formation finally. And so there's all-time highs to the left right there. So not very far away. It will hit all-time highs before the QQQ does. That's for sure. But so it was a lot of other stocks driving this thing up. And how you know that is because I just watched the Mag 8. I don't know about you. But you can plainly see it was mixed. Tesla was red. Nvidia red. Netflix, I think, set all-time new high. Amazon finally turned around. Meta red, Google red. That was overall the antitrust stuff breaking Google up, and then Microsoft and Apple up. I mean, you know, Apple had a decent day, and so but that was mixed, right? Usually, if we're up, you know, setting all-time new highs, you're going to see these things just roaring, but it was really mixed on those. Now, HSI here real quick. People ask me this, so I'll keep them informed on this. Again, second day of pulling back, you saw some buyers start to step in, right? That's what that wick is for. Where did it bounce at? Where they step in at? Stepped in at the 0.5 Fibonacci level from where all this craziness began right there, as you can see. And, you know, remember, the move up was what? Every day, if not every other day for sure, was some stimulus package. I think they announced like 7 of them on this way up, okay? And so far, I hadn't heard anything out of them since that meeting the other night. So if they come out with more stimulus package, what do you think is going to happen here? Things are going to, you know, go up like a rocket ship. Now, what I want to see is you should get a pullback for sure, but how does it perform without those announcements? And so that's what we got to figure out. Now, looking at a couple of different areas here, I'm looking at beating down stuff, right? I share some of the members, but I'll share a couple I'm looking at just for trades more than anything else. But Snow's one of them. So if you get on this run right here, it's held this level since 2022. You can see it based down at the bottom. It's popped nicely before. Seems like it's trying to do the same thing here. So that's one I'm definitely going to be looking at. Again, that trend line / resistance area up there will be a nice area to target if that is the case, if we start to get on a run in the market, because you see that gap right there. And so, again, that's what happened last time. It gapped and then just rocketed up, right? So that was pretty good. You see it basing out down here. Again, this ain't based on fundamentals. This ain't based on me liking this company or nothing like that, all right? There's a reason why Warren Buffett sold out of this company, and it's been a hot mess, okay? And so, but, so, I mean, just to fill that gap would be a nice move up. DocU, which I mean, I've never thought of this stock. This is a just dumpster fire. Wasn't this a Cathie Wood stock or something? You know, down 89, almost 90% at one time. But look at that base at the bottom, right? And what's happening? You can see the levels. If you put on the weekly, you can clearly see the levels you would target, and you can see your stop losses right on this one right here. So if this one gets going, which it's had some pretty nice moves so far. Again, I'm saying if we start to really start to push and getting this crazy euphoric type of stuff, which you know the market basically has been doing, then this one could start to go up too. Not like it used to be. Not like it used to be. I'm talking about the white lines. I'm just putting these white lines. You can see the numbers on the side right there. If that was the case, and you can see exactly where you'd be putting your stop loss and everything else to secure it, okay? And instead of like trying to buy stuff at all-time highs and go, oh my God, is this going to drop? Then, you know, these right here, at least for a play, that is, just for a short play, you can pretty much see them labeled out, and they've been hammered down. The market's done one thing with sure, which you can see it had a golden cross as well, believe it or not. And with this kind of base, it's been crazy how long it's been setting in stage 1. And you're starting to see these kind of stocks, right? They're still setting stage 1. The companies might be straight up garbage, right? But what do? They've shorted them so much now that if they start to cover it all, you start to see these pops and these kind of stocks. So that's why I'm just putting it out there. And that's the 200 weekly moving average, by the way. Look how far up that is. That is nuts. I would never expect this stock to reach anywhere near that mess. But I'm just saying, I mean, when you look at it, it's like, wow, that is absolutely insane. If there's any shorts, I don't know why people be shorting the stock at all. I mean, look how they've already shorted it to death, right? But, you know, just kind of putting that one out there for sure. And again, if you want a nice sign or look at what destruction looks like on a stock, I mean, that right there is it, boy. That's, I forgot what that model's called, where, you know, where you're desperate and all this crazy mess, and it shows you euphoria and whatever that whole chart's called. I mean, that's it. That's what it's based off of. So you don't think that exists. It exists. And what's sad is what you bought it for in 2018, you could have bought it for that in 2022 or 2023, actually, as well. Isn't that nuts? I want to know if anybody's still setting this thing from the top. Put in the comments if you are, or you were ever in and had to sell. I mean, that's just a mess. Now, when it comes to earnings, you'll have Tilray and Delta and Domino's in the morning. The banks don't come till Friday. And then we got the big stuff going on in the morning, 8:30, core CPI, CPI month over month, CPI year over year, unemployment claims. So it will be super volatile. The 30-year bond auction has not been a problem lately. So we're going to see, let me know on the bottom, do you think they're going to squeeze this puppy right in the morning if CPI comes in? Or do you end up thinking, you know, if CPI comes in super hot, the bulls are going to end up getting pounded, thrown to a limousine, and just disappear for a little while, at least till maybe after the election. So let me know what you think about that. Again, if you're in Florida like I am, stay safe. You know, get everything inside. Make sure your cars aren't parked under trees. I just ended up having to move some of mine. Make sure everything can blow away, you put back in your house. And do me a big favor, hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Feel free to sign up for the membership, 2 private videos a week, Discord, and a morning news brief, less than a McDonald's combo. And please be safe and have a good one. Hopefully I will see you tomorrow.